I do want to make one update where I was talking about how I'm being attacked and how that attack is designed to replace the personality and create a neurosis, because the body, the great book, The Body Keeps the Score, and other works, talks about trauma. So what they're doing, even today, just today, if I fall asleep or anything, they will neurotoxin my back. And then right now they're also doing my left knee, which is strange. But it goes back to the East Indian. His initials attack, so how he structured his attack. So he got me to stop walking because I was walking everywhere, and I guess what that was doing was pushing out the neurotoxins and keeping it from really building up. So he attacked my back to the point where I couldn't even walk. I remember that I got the little scooter thing because I couldn't even walk like a quarter of a mile before all my muscles would lock up. Then the next thing, and I couldn't move, I couldn't walk, and that was to keep me stuck within the apartment. I was able to force myself to go into deep squats to break it up. And then they would use, as I was dealing with this, I would sit there and I would do something, and then I'd watch my body kind of like almost dissing, like, dude, what are you doing? And that's the way it felt. And I could sit there and I would start to study all the attacks, and I would study, okay, my behavior, where my normal thinking is, okay, I got X, Y, or Z, and put it in my mind, click, boom, and I just go click, click, click right through it, and I'll watch my mind, body fight itself. Like I would go start doing something, even today, because they're still attacking me. My whole back is just lit up, and it's so locked up. It's almost impossible to even breathe sometimes, which is the idea, because it eventually locks you down, and then on the autopsy, it looks like you're overweight, and then a heart attack just looks like something's wrong with you, because once a person passes, all those muscles relax, and no one's going to look at that there's a bunch of toxins or that they've been in a state of strain. And even if they were, it would just be considered, well, natural causes, not an assassination. So, anyways, so continuing, that's what they're doing. Their main thing is like now this person who's attacking me differently, like the East Indian's fist was, he even gloated. He liked to get my muscle pull. Actually, they did this yesterday, 2 days ago. Pull so tightly, my shoulder would lock up, and I'm sitting there trying to keep my shoulder down. Even now, it doesn't fall into position. And then another attack, part of the attack system that's been going on with the SEALs is, as soon as I start to get my own rhythm, then they use the landlord to kick me out or whatever. And then the other part, and then say, for instance, I was going to purchase a vehicle or do some other purchases or stuff, I did get back from the agencies, and they'd be like, oh, and several times the salesperson was just scratching their head. He goes, this doesn't make sense. I was about to buy a vehicle. It was like $25,000, not a big deal. But my credit should have gotten it for normal 20% down, blah, blah, blah. And it would have been either fully financed or the normal 20% down or whatever. They couldn't get anything that wasn't like 90%. Like I'd have to put 90% down, then I get the 10% financed. This is how much what they're doing within the financial systems of the attacks. So that's outside, and then then the physical part is because the body is so freaked out, the mind's having trouble. And then also, which I also was able to catch yesterday, I run a very strict system on my trades. So initial trade has a 1 point loss. And I had a trade on, it was going to go the right direction. And they closed out for a quarter pip loss. And then when you look at and then it took off in a direction, and I maintain a strict structure now. I'm not chasing a trade away. And they've done this multiple times. So, and then also where you might say, well, then just use OBS to transmit your trades. I started to transmit my trades. They would disconnect my screen, which I was just putting it up on YouTube privately, go back and look at it later, which actually is pretty smart. They'd cut off the screen. You might as well then just do that with QuickTime. They've done the same thing. So everything for me to maintain, for me to complete the task that I need to do, they're violating. Like for instance, this morning it took off, but I woke up, I was doing my thing, and then I would realize, like I didn't realize, I'd go start to do things, and then do my setups and do the morning routine, and I'd realize I would just stop. Like for instance, when I read a book now, something that usually, if I read a book, I'll read for 2-3 hours straight, not a problem. I can't even concentrate. I'll be like, I'm in the middle of one book, I go 3 or 4 pages and I'm done. And I know when I search my subconscious, this is not about my lack of love or I guess it would be considered focus, but it is a subliminal messaging. Don't read books, don't do this, don't do anything except for watch these stupid videos. So that way we can mimic and steal whatever you're doing and then tell you which way you're doing. But also the fact is, they don't. There's certain things I'm also doing those videos, and so I'm backing away from that. We're going to see what happens over the next couple of weeks, but with the knowledge, I know that they're going to continue. As like, for instance, right now, my whole back. So I woke up from a nap because it was going so badly. It was in so much pain. I usually notice that within 24 hours, and there's another hook they have in there as well, the 24 hours. What was the other hook? It was 24 hours before the toxins out of my system. One of the other hooks, and this is another one the East Indian didn't realize, he informed me that they were doing, which was either fall asleep at between 9 and 11 o'clock. Like I'll be sitting there in my study, ready to go, and I've literally started to look at the trade, and that's one which is attached to another one, seeing that, okay, here it is, it's going to come in, and then all of a sudden I just poof, disappear, and I walk away or something, and I come back, and I'm like, what just happened? Yeah, subliminal messaging is brutal, and the thing is, it doesn't work very well on me just trying to do it without. They have to constantly reinforce it because I'm so drivenly stubborn, and they have to reinforce it with locking my back up to the point they've dislocated a vertebra. Because there's sometimes, a lot of times when I go to sleep, I will literally have an argument to tell my subconscious. And I notice those are some of the most violent days where I'm telling my subconscious to fight back, and my back will be just from top to bottom, like I can barely move the next morning or the moment I wake up. So this is what I've been going through, and I hope this makes more sense to some of the things of why things have been going, why it's been so long. Because you imagine every time you fall asleep, you are traumatized because somebody comes into your room, poisons your feet to knock you out, puts you in a deep state, then uses either a neurotoxin or a muscle contractant at the same time, they're telling you to do things that you don't want, so your mind and body are fighting each other. This is what I'm constantly going through. And made even worse, you're catching half the dudes doing it to you. And it's been for years. But the East Indian was especially, you know, yeah, he's pushing it. And I was getting to the point, like, because he was getting, the East Indians were, he was getting kudos. They even told him, like, hey, dude, you got a big job to do, just quit with the crap. And like, he had been beating the quote great whatever I'm supposed to be, that I'm not, I'm just me. But apparently most people don't have abilities. And when I called him out on a video before, yeah, his mind glitched. But, and then Mossad guy, he's known for months. And then they pulled out the DevGru guys as I'm sitting there having a complete conversation and just being able to pick up on his whatever I'm not going to speak about. Now they're going to try to get that information out of me tonight. That's how that works. So that being what I just said about the DevGru guy before they pulled him from the area where I was at. So this is what's going on. This is how this has been going. So enough about me. What needs to be definitely taken care of now is, once again, the target goal is voting rights. Still, just as when I started off in the very beginning, my target goal is voting rights. Because if you notice, if you have universal voting rights, Trump will be contained. Trumpism will be contained, because now you'll have power. As long as you don't have power through voting, they have to constantly cheat, because they know the power of the people. And it's a cult. No ifs, ands, or buts to it. So goals, voting rights, how we get there, through strong arming the Republicans, strong arming the Democrats, so be it. So be it. All right. Thank you very much. Probably won't be doing many more of these where I'm looking in the camera, but this was very important to understand everything that I'm going through, and have been going through, and how its effects on the waking consciousness. And some, I can say the SEALs would say, well, you should have just powered through it. The thing is, I shouldn't have to power through it. I shouldn't have had to go through this my entire life. You see. And right now, those SEAL admirals and the other 3 agencies that have been breaking into my space, and that's the reason they're trying to say, that's the reason they used the East Indian and the Mossad guy to attack, to give them hands off. It's not the word I'm looking for, but plausible deniability phrase, to understand. All right, this has been 13 minutes, way longer than I wanted, but once again, the main focus is voting rights. And that means if strong arming the Democrats and the Republicans into it, so be it. If we want to maintain the Republic, we have to reinstate the Constitution and get voting rights. Anything after that, that's just politics. This is about maintaining law. Peace.